Hello, so this is Louise from Meridian Beekeepers, and we're now in September, the beginning of September, so we're going to take our honey crop off. We've taken the frames, and I'm now going to show you how to uncap them and spin them off. So here we have a frame of fully capped honey. You need to wait till your frames are at least 80% capped on both sides before you uncap them and spin them, because otherwise your honey will have too high an HDMF level and is likely to ferment. Whereas if you wait until it's fully capped, so if you can lean your frame slightly forward, you will find that your cappings, so the capping is the lids, as the bees ripen the honey, they seal each cell with a little bit of pollen and a little bit of wax. So you can see by leaning it slightly forward, the cappings have dropped off into my filter. And the honey will drop through this sieve into this bottom container so that I'll be able to harvest that honey too. So again, lean it slightly forward. And all of the cappings will drop off. And I can then put this into the spinner. So this is a radial spinner. We can get a bit down in there. So you can have either a radial or a tangential spinner. So here, this is a radial spinner. So as it spins round, the honey will be flung onto the sides. This spinner has what's called a settling tank. So a tank underneath, so the honey will drip through into this settling tank, and you can there's a filter between, and then you need to leave it in the settling tank for at least 24 hours so that all of the air bubbles float to the top. What we're really going to produce is a set honey. The advantage of a set honey is that you don't warm it. So there is a great fashion at the moment for raw honey. I have no idea what that is. There's no legal definition of raw honey, and every single customer that I ask has a different definition of it. But if they're looking for something that is not heated, then a creamed honey is very good. The other thing that creamed honey is very good for is toddlers, children and frail people, because it sticks on your knife for longer, so it's not quite so runny. So this wonderful little machine here is called a ripener, and I've borrowed it from a friend. So if you just bring the camera forward a little, we have a lid here. So the honey can go down through this filter, and that will remove the largest bits. And then you can see that we have a smaller filter that has removed more debris. And then here we have the honey. So what I have kept is in the bottom of the spinner when I was spinning the honey. So at the end of the season, you've got a large amount of honey that is partially granulated and partially runny. So we're going to add more granulated honey to this. And the proportions really don't seem to matter. How thick your set is depends on what honey you're using. So this is just a general blossom honey, and we're adding a honey that granulates quickly, which I think is probably a combination of oilseed rape and clover. So we have this wonderful little gizmo here, which is called a creamer or a ripener. So when we say creaming, we're not adding any cream to it. What we're doing is making the cells of the honey, which is multi-sided, we're knocking all of those edges off, if you like, so that the honey lays flat. So you mustn't let this creamer break the surface. So you simply put it down into the honey to which you've added the granulated honey, and you pull it up and down. And you do this every couple of hours for 24 hours. Then you must leave it for 3 or 4 days for it to settle and any air bubbles to come to the top before you jar it. If you jar it too early, you will get a frosting on the jar. So you can see that I'm moving this, but it's not breaking the surface. So then you also need to be able to put it somewhere so that you can keep the dust out of it. So I will cover this with a tea towel. So if you don't have this wonderful little gizmo, then a food grade plastic bucket, and you can buy one of these which will fit to a drill. You need to have a drill with a high torque because otherwise you'll just burn your drill out, because the pressure you're going to put it under is absolutely huge. And I can't show you this here because I have to, again, because I'm going to do this every couple of hours for 24 hours or so without it breaking the surface. I need somewhere to lean the weight of the drill up against that's not going to be in the way of the household. So this would simply go in here with, and again you add your proportion of granulated honey, and then I would stir this with the drill every couple of hours. Stop. Into here. David, who I borrowed the ripener from, he always swears by clover honey if you can get it. And as subsidies are changing for farmers, they're being paid to grow or encouraged to grow clover under a lot of their taller crops to protect the soil. Obviously nature doesn't leave bare soil anywhere. But of course that will mean that the bees will have access to a whole other crop. So we never used to have to think about forage in this country when we had a network of small fields and not so many people and not many pesticides. So again, I'm just going to do this every couple of hours for 24 hours or so. You need to keep resting your drill because this gets so unbelievably hot. But again, you can see I'm not letting it break the surface. And you also need to make sure your honey isn't very deep. You don't want any more than 2 or 3 inches of honey in the bottom of your bucket because you'll just burn your drill out.